Welcome to episode 4 of the Connecticut Wedding Channel. This is a place for engaged couples to help narrow down vendors for their special day. My name is Jim Collins, and I'm the owner of Collins Entertainment, located in Newington, Connecticut. Today on the show, I'm having a conversation with wedding filmmaker Michael Horn. Michael, thanks so much for coming on the show.
Sure, no problem. Glad to be here.
Tell me about how you became passionate about wedding filmmaking.
So I'm a musician as well as a wedding filmmaker. And I actually have a degree in music. I have both my bachelor's and master's degree. And back in 2007, when we first started our company, I was a music teacher at that point. And since the economy had fallen apart, that's when a lot of music jobs also fell apart. And the position at my school was actually cut. So at this point, I was looking for a new job. And I had decided I wanted to do something I was more passionate about. And something that I had always done was work with video. When I went to friends' weddings, when I went to families' weddings, I always had my video camera with me. And at that time, it was just a little handy cam that I had with me. And I would film just because it was something I enjoyed doing. And my friends and family were saying that they were liking the films, the little 5-minute highlight films I would make for them, better than what some of their professionals were making. And it wasn't even a profession for me at this point. And I really loved doing that. I loved seeing the look on their faces. And at that point in 2007, my brother, who is also co-owner of Inspiration in Motion, was graduating with a degree in film production. He had just finished a stint out in Hollywood working on some feature films, and he had come back to Connecticut. And at this time, we both were looking for something to do, something we were both passionate about. And we, at that point, decided to start Inspiration in Motion. And we both do this full time now. We've been doing it since 2007.
You first started this up with your brother, and what a better person, I'm sure, to do that with, too. You understand how each other work together and just growing up together and knowing the personalities already. And
that's very true. That's, in fact, my brother, he is the one who does most of the editing work. In fact, the short films, the cinematic trailers and coming attractions and all of that, he puts that together.
So I'm sure a question that many couples have is picking a great videographer and how to do that, because it's overwhelming. You look at the different advertising areas where there's all sorts of different services offered. So how can they do that?
So that's a good question, because when you are a couple that has just got engaged and you start your journey out looking for all your different wedding professionals, it's overwhelming. So what I say is, first ask family and friends if they have any recommendations of anybody they've used, because knowing someone that they've used and really loved, that's a great endorsement. But you also want to go check out the films that these videographers are producing. So you want to go to the websites, you want to email them, you want to see what they're producing, because that's going to be similar to what your film is going to look like. I know with us, no two films are exactly the same. We don't even have a preconceived notion of what your film is going to look like until we've captured all the footage and are looking at it, after the wedding. But the style of what the film is like, the clarity, the sound quality, all of those things will be similar throughout all the films. So you want to take advantage of the fact that we live in such a day and age that you can watch films across all different websites and see what those are going to look like. Then meet with some of those videographers, meet with the filmmakers, see what their personalities are like, because you're going to be with them a lot on the wedding day. So you want your personalities to match. You want them to be energetic. You want them to be a good part of your day.
So why should couples hire a videographer? What are some main reasons why they should do this?
So a lot of people still think that a wedding film or a wedding video is what it was 10 or 20 years ago, where it was a 2.5 hour, 3 hour long, very cut and dry type of film. There was no music overlaid. It it was something a lot of people would watch once and then never watch again. But today it's different. Today we have films that tell the story of your wedding day. We have beautiful cameras that create these stunning images, much better than any cameras used to do even 10 years ago.
Yeah.
And nowadays, film can create so much emotion on your wedding day and not be this big production. There doesn't need to be floodlights all over the place. There doesn't need to be giant camera equipment, and things are so small and agile nowadays that we can be as small in a footprint as your photographer is. Barely moving, barely showing equipment, not being able to see most of the microphones, if any of them. And that's really what you want.
And you bring up some good points. And just thinking about it, and just a moment such as a maid of honor or a best man giving a toast at a wedding. And sure, you could get plenty of images with photography of those special moments, but I'm sure you want to hear what was said at the toast. And, and I'm trying to remember what my maid of honor said, and there was something in the middle of her toast that was just a great line, or, so many great lines in that toast. To be able to go back and revisit that, you have it with your videographer.
Very true. And videography, a lot of people think, oh, I have a photographer, I don't need a videographer. Completely untrue. Videography and photography, I view them as two completely separate art forms. Even though we're doing something similar, they're capturing totally different emotions. They're capturing totally different parts of the day. For instance, you mentioned the speeches. The speeches are a great part of your wedding day that you do forget. In fact, because there's so much going on the day of, sometimes you don't even remember them an hour after they happen. So to be able to relive those and watch those years down the road is great. Now, for a photographer, the speeches are probably not one of the main things that they're trying to photograph. It's not the most flattering photographs in the world usually. There's much better times for other photographs. But for us, speeches are a great time to film. So we really view them as two separate entities.
And from an entertainment perspective too, in the weddings I do, in the personalization and attention to each couple, there are 2 or 3 moments every single wedding that are unique to the couple that I work with, and presenting that properly and to the extent where I'm representing that couple on the microphone the right way as they are as their personalities. There's 2 or 3 moments that we're setting up and I'm doing on the microphone to capture a moment right before that special dance with dad, or right before that first dance, depending on what a couple's looking for.
Yes.
And to have that extra element just for that captured as well is important.
Yeah, it is. It's very important. And this is something that you get to do once. This is, a once in a lifetime event, and being able to watch it back as it happened, telling the story of the day and hearing everything that went on is so important. But I see a turnaround. When we first started this back in 2007, photographers would tell us that there would be a videographer in 1 out of every 10 weddings that they would photograph. Nowadays, it's a little more like 5, 6 out of 10 that we're hearing. So I'm glad to see it's turning around because it's such a passion for me, and I know how important it is to have a wedding film, that even if couples don't book us in particular, I'm just happy to hear that they are booking other filmmakers because they're getting those memories. And they're the not.com. A lot of couples have heard of that. They always put a survey out every year. And one of the questions on it is, what's your number one regret from the wedding?
Yep.
And by far, the number one regret every year over year, for the past 10 years that we've been doing this, has been, we didn't hire a videographer. So I'm glad to see that trend is starting to change. And hopefully in the next 10 years, that answer to that question will not be that we didn't hire a videographer.
Yeah, and I mean, you have people that will be at the event and they'll film with their iPhones, special dance and things like that. But it's just the same thing as someone doing that with their phone for pictures. you're obviously not going to have people that are talented and know what they're doing. You'll get some okay pictures and additional to add on to that. But when people do this, and some companies, entertainment companies, will actually film, first dance or little, and that's added extra and value, I guess, too. But to be able to do it effectively throughout the whole day, and so you're picking up on all these things that other people might not even notice, and then being able to capture that on film and for them to review and go back, nothing better than that.
Yep, I agree.
And the other thing I was thinking about now, do you think that couples get a misconception or understand or don't really understand when they'll see how you capture like a 5-minute preview of what you could do for them? Do a lot of couples think that's the only service, or do they know that you could provide like raw footage of the whole entire event? Like it.
So we try to be as transparent as possible with it. Yep. When couples contact us, when they have a meeting with me, I want you to know everything there is to know about us. So I'm happy to answer any questions. And in fact, when people ask us for our packages and pricing, I'll email it right out to you. It'll show everything we offer. It has exact times of when we're arriving and when we're leaving and what you're getting and what's going to be happening with the wedding day. Because the more informed you are as a bride or a groom, the more relaxed you can be, the more knowledge you have, the better.
As far as having like raw footage offered, is that something that you offer? Or
oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. If couples want to buy the raw footage, we definitely offer that.
Okay.
We offer a lot of different things, anywhere from little 1 to 2 minute coming attractions that come out within a week of your wedding. We even do same day edits where we actually have another third videographer come with us, and we are going to be creating a 3 to 4 minute film on your wedding day.
Nice.
And then we show it on a 110-inch screen in full high definition. We show it at your reception, usually right around the end of dinner, to kind of kick off the whole party night. So that
is awesome. The fact that you do that.
Yep.
Because
and then they're online the next day so that you can see them and share them with all your family and friends.
And no one's expecting that either. When they go to a wedding to see this just happened, and boom, there it is on the screen.
Exactly.
Capturing some moments of Uncle Mike sitting over there, and a tear coming down his eye during the ceremony as they exchange vows, and the reveal and all those different things. So that's amazing. So that's great you do that. What do you do to ensure that the footage of a bride and groom's day is kept safe?
All right. So we work on a premise of backups of backups. we like to do as much as we possibly can to ensure that what we're creating for you is safe. Because even though technology is improving every day, it's still technology, and technology can fail through no fault of anyone's but the technologies. So when we're at a wedding, we actually leave your wedding with 3 copies of every piece of your footage. It's on 3 different devices and 3 copies. By the time that we go to sleep that night after we've gotten home, we have 7 copies of your footage on 7 different devices, and they're at 2 different locations. So we're trying to protect it from everything, from technological failure of a hard drive to a fire or a flood or theft of something. We actually take a copy of the footage, and that next morning we lock it in a fireproof safe until we are complete with the edit. We've delivered it to you, and we know that you love your film.
You have a backup of a backup of a backup of a backup.
Yes. Yes. And in fact, even at a wedding, we bring an entire set of backup equipment. Yeah. So we have a whole nother set of cameras. We have a whole nother set of audio acquisition devices. We leave nothing to chance. We know that this is a once in a lifetime event. We understand how important the footage is, because I think of it from my own point of view. What would I want to be going on with my videographer the day of? And we try to do that and then go on top of that as well.
So you feel rest assured for any couple that they're going to be protected and their footage will be protected. So,
yes, it gives them a peace of mind, and it gives us a peace of mind as well.
What kind of style films do you create?
So there are two main styles of filmmaking nowadays in weddings. There's the documentary style and there's the cinematic style. We create more of a cinematic style, but we do it with a twist because we do offer documentary style pieces. So let me explain the difference between the two. Documentary style is more of a, here's what happened on your wedding day. This is exactly the way it went, and here is the live audio, the live video feeds, and while it can still be edited, it's usually more of a full length, here's what happened. For instance, your ceremony. If your ceremony is 45 minutes long from start to end, then in a documentary style, you will have roughly 45 minutes of footage, maybe cut between different audio and video angles, but still 45 minutes. In a cinematic style, we would take different pieces of the ceremony and we would be using it throughout the wedding film. It might not be exactly linear. We may start your film with a toast from the middle of your reception with a cinematic style, whereas with a documentary style, it would start with prep and then go to the ceremony and then go to the photo session time and then go to the reception time. With a cinematic style, we want to tell a little more story during the day. So we'll use a lot of highly creative editing. That's where my brother's expertise really shines, is in the editing of the films, because he does all of that editing in the creative films. And that is what a lot more people like to watch. It's the film that you want to share. When you have a 2-hour-long documentary style film, it's great to relive all those moments, but at the same time, how often are you really going to watch that? Once a year, maybe? When you tell your friends you want to share your 2-hour-long wedding video, it might be a hard sell. They might be like, oh, I got to watch a 2-hour-long wedding video. But if you have a 15-minute long cinematic film that's telling a story throughout the day, it's much easier to share. It's much easier to watch over and over again. And that's the style we do. We create those shorter films. And one of my favorite things I love to hear from couples after the wedding when they get their film is that they've watched their film a dozen times in the first 2 days, that they've had viewing parties, that they have all these people over. In fact, as the holiday season, we're approaching Christmas soon, and we just had a mother of a bride email us saying that they can't wait for Christmas. They have 40 people coming over, and they can't wait to share the film. Now, that's something that can be done because they have a roughly 15-minute long cinematic film. If they had a 2 or 2.5 hour long documentary style, they probably would not be sharing that with 40 people on Christmas. What I'm doing is going to outlast me. It's going to outlast even the couple, because when their great-great-great-grandchildren can watch their wedding film from 100 years ago, just think about how amazing that would be if we could go back to the early 1900s and watch our great-grandparents get married when they were our age.
Right.
There would be something, and hear them and to see them laughing and smiling and loving each other. There's something about that that is priceless. You can't go back to that now. But I love that we create something that's going to be passed down throughout their family history.
It's huge. And it's the same thing with creating memories and helping do that with the entertainment. Because if you have a very memorable event and you have those 2 or 3 moments or more that you're able to help create with a couple, guests walk out and just remember for years and years and years.
Well, that's true. When you have great entertainment such as yourself, that is a huge, huge part of the wedding day. If you don't have a great entertainer at your wedding, then your photographs and your videography, your film, it can all be affected. So you really do need to make sure that you have great entertainment, because if nobody dances, if the MC is not very good, that could really affect the way your film comes out.
For sure. And you could have a moment like your first dance, and when that's presented and everybody's watching this, just announcing the name of the song and have this
Mm-hmm.
the first dance for the bride and groom instead of saying their names and personalizing it. Just
Yep.
a little touch of being able to do that, and then create that moment. So if it's a sentimental moment as opposed to something that's more upbeat and quirky and cute or something like that, but knowing a couple ahead of time and being able to establish that connection with them so you could set it up appropriately, and that creates the memories.
We try to portray the story on film,
Yeah.
but you as an entertainer, you're actually helping to create that story with the couple on the wedding day that we then go back and tell.
For sure. Michael, can you talk about a particular wedding and a challenge you faced and how you went the extra mile to ensure that things went as smoothly as possible?
Sure. So at every wedding we film, because we are with the couple so much during the day, we're there from prep until the end usually. So when we're with the couple, the way that we conduct ourselves, the way that we even talk with the couple can affect whether they're having a great experience or just an average one. For example, we had maybe 3 months ago, we had a wedding where it was kind of a rainy, dreary day. You could tell that the bride was not all that excited about it, but we tried to help with that. We explained to her that we can still film in the rain and it just tells the story in another way.
Sure.
And she kind of got excited when we started portraying the different ways that we can now film because of the rain and use it to our advantage. Another example I could think of was a couple that we filmed back in September this year. And she actually emailed me after the wedding, after they received their film and everything, and said that during bridal prep, when they had first started, they were doing hair and makeup, and she was really nervous, and everything was very quiet. Nobody was really talking at the prep, and she just felt kind of a little blah about the day. And then we came in to start filming the day. We were higher energy. We tried to read the room and create more energy during the day. And she said that from the moment we arrived, the entire atmosphere had changed. And she went from feeling blah to feeling really excited now about her wedding day. And I love hearing stuff like that because it means that we really do make a difference on the wedding day, not just in the filming that we're doing, but our presence there too.
One time at a ceremony, it was a similar situation with rain, and it just stopped raining right before the ceremony. The seats were all covered with rain, and you could just see that it was about 5 minutes before this. People were going to start walking down and having a seat. And so we went around, me and my assistant, and wiped down the seats, and just having a part of that and going outside of what you do as far as entertainment aspects, just to ensure that the whole day is a success, because it means so much, and to just care and not just be that person that's just handling one aspect of the day, but knowing that what you do and what you might not do can contribute to the success of that day. So if I can make it better for any way, I'm going to do that. Whether or not it's handling that or just a bride and groom not having a plate or a knife or a napkin for cake cutting, ensuring that that's there before we set up that moment for them to do so. So it's not awkward and they don't feel uncomfortable about it. Little things like that make a big difference.
That's very true. And that's where hiring a good professional comes in. And a good professional is going to care more about the couple than they are about what they are doing. For us, we know that for instance, we work with photographers very closely. And a lot of times we're looking for similar angles or shots like that. And we're looking more out for the couple than what our film is going to be at the end. Because if we're in every single picture, then it doesn't matter that we create a great film if we ruin your pictures.
Yes.
In them all. So it's working together because it's not about me on your wedding day. It's about you. It's about the couple. That's really what it's about.
No doubt about it. And for an entertainment perspective, for example, I could easily ruin a shot for the photographer, from the filmmaker. I could stand in the wrong place on a dance floor when doing an anniversary dance for the longest married couple. And if I position myself in front and blocking you, obviously that's going to cause problems in the pictures or the filmmaking aspects of things. So being cognizant of that and knowing how to work with a team and setting that up appropriately. If I didn't have the experience with that, then I would be ruining shots.
That's very true.
You know, so
that's a good reason not to go on Craigslist and start hiring the student college kids who are going to be your photographer or videographer or DJ, because part of doing this, it's more than just holding a camera. It's more than just knowing what angles to film. It's knowing how to work as a team on the wedding day.
Yeah. That's why it's huge too, that pre-planning production and working with a team of vendors and knowing in advance what's going to happen and what moments are going to happen with a timeline and what special things will happen. So you're informed ahead of time. So I'm informed ahead of time, and we can make the event flow as smoothly as possible from start to finish, because it's live action.
Yep, exactly.
It's a big deal. And
it is.
It's done properly.
It is what creates a great film or a great photograph from a so-so one.
What are some things that really help you out with working with a DJ or an MC?
So from working with an entertainment perspective, it's pretty close to as important as working together with a photographer. The difference is with the photographer, we have open lines of communications to know where we're going to be at a certain time so that we are not in each other's shots.
Yeah.
With the entertainment, we actually need to know things like the timeline of the day. We don't need to know exact minutes, but to know what is the order of things that are going to happen. Are we going to be doing the cake cutting first, the parent dances first? Is there a bouquet and garter toss tonight? What are things happening? How many toasts are there going to be tonight? Sometimes we don't know these things going into the event. So communicating with the entertainment is really important. For us as well, one of our sources of audio that we get at the reception comes from the entertainment. We love to be able to get a feed from them, which is basically just being able to plug into either their speaker or their board and get an audio feed that can ensure really high quality audio.
Right.
Those are great things to be able to communicate as well. And knowing communicating with the DJ about where we're going to be when. For instance, if it's time for dinner and we're going to be sitting at the table eating, especially if we're in another room, which makes it really difficult. Communicating that with the DJ or the entertainment is of utmost importance so that things don't happen without us.
I'm sending out, and other MCs that work for me are sending out basic timelines 60 days before the event, because we've met with a couple for 2 planning meetings ahead of time and ironed out all the details. So every vendor has that in hand, way far in advance. So we could talk about it and have these conversations about the timing of everything and setting up that special moment. And here's the creative ideas that we had. A bride, for example, is having a special dance. Instead of dad, she's having it with a grandfather and wants that set up appropriately and telling a story about that before that happens. Different things like that. So that communication is obviously very important, that you have that ahead of time. And just sending it out just to ensure everything flows smoothly. So on the day of, you can focus on the things you have to. You know what's coming next and what's been planned out with the entertainment, but the feedback from you as well. And knowing, that this is just something that would be better set up maybe 25 minutes later, as opposed to when it's on a timeline here. So we could all come to a consensus of what's going to work out the best as vendors to make the flow smooth.
Yes, no, I agree. And there's not enough companies that do that, but I love when we get the schedule days or weeks ahead of time, just to have a rough idea of what is the order of the night going to look like, what specific things are happening that night. And it does make a difference. For us, I know we use different cameras for the parent dances than we do for the toasts.
Perfect example.
Different cameras for the entrances than we do for the first dance.
Right.
So knowing the order and when things are going to happen makes sure that we have the appropriate equipment ready to go, the right lenses on the cameras, and it makes things run much smoother, and we get better film because of it.
And here's another example. What if you're not aware, because the bride and groom never discussed this with you when you talked to them, that there was going to be an anniversary dance, or there is going to be something done like a centerpiece giveaway, or just something that they wanted captured from a film perspective. So if you knew this in advance, then that would be set up correctly. You'd have that specific camera ready for that moment. So things like that are just out of the ordinary. And so that's huge. And it's important to focus on it. And
even knowing when, like, if the couple is going to do a special dance, if they're going to do a choreographed dance during their first dance, it's important to know that, because we would be changing the positions of our cameras if we know it's a choreographed dance versus a traditional first dance.
And what if there was a special guest that was calling in that couldn't be there on a special day? And if I had the audio of them doing that, and I was setting that up for right after the last toast, for example, that's a time frame that usually work it in there. The bride and groom don't know about that, so they haven't discussed that with you in advance. That's a surprise that I do, and get in touch with a family member to set that up for them right after that, and to hear them and see the expressions on their faces and the emotion when the bride's grandmother, who is 97, can't make it to the wedding, but is given a special message just for her and saying hello. And if you miss that moment,
and that's it. It happens, and then it's gone.
Right.
So knowing about those moments ahead of time is very important.
Well, Michael, what is the best way for a couple that's looking for a wedding filmmaker to get in touch with you?
So if you want to get in touch with us, there's a lot of ways, but I would say go to our website. It's www.inspirationinmotion.com, or you can go to our Facebook page, which is just facebook.com/inspirationinmotion. And you can get in contact with us there. You can see a lot of our films and comments on our films, and you could give us a call as well, and I'll answer as soon as I can, if not right away. And it's 203-828-0848.
Well, Michael, thank you so much for coming on the show. It was very informative. I learned a lot, and I got a lot out of it. I'm sure that there's other couples that are overwhelmed and picked up some great bits of information, nuggets, if you will, about wedding filmmaking and everything, and the care that you put into it and your company puts into it. That's all the time that we have today. Stay tuned for our next episode. Thanks for watching.